Hey, what's going on YouTube? Thanks for coming back to the Shoulders of Giant YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be going through my favorite trading strategy that you can use to generate more money in the NFT space. And this is a very good strategy for beginners, especially if you have a small amount of capital. Now, it's not only for people with small amount of capital, it also works great when you have been in the space for some time and have a decent portfolio. I myself use these strategies I'm about to show you till this day. So if you like these kind of videos, please go down below, like the video, subscribe, turn your bell notifications on, because a lot of times the info on this channel is going to be time sensitive. And with that being said, let's get into it. To start things off, I'm going to assume that you know what is Ethereum. And also going to assume that you have sort of an idea what an NFT is by this time. The other thing that's going to be important throughout this video is going to be OpenSea. This is the platform we're going to be using to give all the examples. This is just one of the platforms of many where you can buy and sell NFTs. You can think of it like the Amazon of NFT buying and selling, because it's the largest one. So I opened up Bored Ape Yacht Club. Well, actually, this is Mutant Ape Yacht Club, and these have been doing pretty well for the last couple of days, to say the least. And the way you'd buy an NFT right now off the secondary, which basically means that the project has already launched and it's minted out to the original people who got in, and then now you're buying off the people who have already originally entered, right? And as they pass it on, etc., etc. And to do this, you just have to click buy now and confirm this purchase, and then you'd be going along with it. Right now I don't have even enough to buy one of these Mutant Ape Yacht Clubs, but the point is, this is how you buy something off the secondary. And as a beginner, the only thing you're going to be doing is minting. You're not going to be buying anything off the secondary at all whatsoever. You're only going to be focusing on getting in projects when they originally launch, allowing you to get a very low entry price and giving you the most upside to make the biggest amount of returns. Getting into good projects early is the name of the game. And one of the ways you can do this is by getting whitelisted. In fact, for this strategy, especially for beginners, this is the only strategy you'd be using. You only get into projects that you can get whitelisted. So what a whitelist is a dictionary definition is a whitelist is a mechanism which explicitly allows some identified entities, so you, to access a particular privilege by the NFT. Basically, before the project launches, the way it works in NFT space is the people who are active in the Discord or checking out the project and stuff like that, and basically maybe giving them a shout out, whatever they set it up. It's a little bit different for many projects. Sometimes they want you to give a shout out, sometimes they want you to just be active in the Discord, and they're going to take the people who have been active and helping the community for the project in the early stages to get whitelisted. And the reason why you want this, there's two big reasons. The first one is, well, it guarantees you a spot. A lot of times you can go into NFT launches in the public sale and you won't even make it, right? You'd be trying to get in, you might waste some gas and it won't even get through because it's like gone within a minute, especially if it's a very good project or very hyped. With a whitelist, you're not competing with the public sale. You're only competing or getting the project with all the other people who put in their addresses and got whitelisted. Essentially, everybody is in that set is guaranteed to get the NFT. So that's the first reason. The second reason why we want to whitelist is because we don't want to waste gas fees, right? The way that works is that there's a lot of NFTs now launching and all kinds of utility in the Ethereum world, and everybody's trying to use the blockchain at the same time, making it very congested, and the fees is going up, right? So if you need to know a little bit more about how gas fees work, I'm going to link to another video here, but that's all you kind of have to know, that it's pretty expensive to compete with all the people who come into the public sale. And if you get into the whitelist, not only are you guaranteeing yourself a NFT, but also you're not having to go into gas wars, and you can get the NFT in a calm, collected fashion with paying roughly minimum to average levels of gas fees. Now, before I move on, I just wanted to say that this is generally how whitelists work and the steps you're going to have to go through to get yourself whitelisted. Now, different projects have different criteria on what they want their community to do to get whitelisted. If you want a more deep dive on exactly how to go down the major ways to get whitelisted and the strategy used for that, I'm going to link another video right here somewhere. Alright, so now things are getting interesting and we are going to be going into where to find projects, and soon after this section we're going to be looking at really some strategies you can use to, I don't want to say guarantee, but greatly increase the odds of you making a good return back. So stay tuned. The place where we're going to find projects, the first one I want to show you is called Rarity Tools. And this is basically one of the most common websites in the space. And I still think that it's a pretty good website. Even though it was one of the early ones, it's one of the ones that I still use to this day from time to time. And basically what this allows you to see is upcoming NFT projects that are basically going to be, going on mostly in the Ethereum blockchain, but I think they started to do some in other blockchains as well. But Rarity.tools is mostly for Ethereum. All you'd have to do is go at the top section and click upcoming. And then once you do that, it'll bring you to this page right here. And this will allow you to see some basic information about the upcoming NFT projects, such as a little bit about what the art looks like, their Discord, their Twitter page, what the price is going to be, the supply, and also when it's going to take place, the launch. And this way it gives you enough information to at least start opening some new tabs and going into your due diligence. Then the second place that I would recommend for you to get your deal flow, or your list of projects that you're going to be looking into to potentially get in, is going to be Twitter. And this is probably the best place, right? I would say if I had to put all the places I do, it would be like Twitter, Rarity.tools, and then Discord. Twitter and Discord go hand in hand because we're just essentially looking for other people's opinions. But basically what you want to do is first start off by following a few people in the NFT space that has good insight about the drops that are going on inside about the space. Maybe they're kind of known to make good calls in the past. So while we're at it, why don't you go ahead and follow me? My name on Instagram, Twitter is exactly my name on YouTube, Shoulders of Giant. And then I'm going to give you a few other people that are good in the space as well to start things off and you get your list going. The first one being Zeneca. Second one is Daniel Got Hits. Third one is Giancarlo, and the last one is Nate. So these are just 4 people I wanted to put together for you as a beginner if you don't really follow much people. And what this is gonna let you do is basically have a starting base. And this is where it becomes a little bit more like a process in a day-to-day process, meaning you want to check what's going on in the NFT space and scroll around for 5 to 10 minutes in the mornings when you wake up and just see what's going on. What are the people that you're following are talking about? What kind of things they're realizing about the space? What kind of projects they're calling out? And if they happen to mention some projects, you can put them on your list to go and do further research to see if they're a potential candidate of you getting in. You can think of it a little bit like VC investing, right? Real investors, this is what they do. They have what's called as deal flow. It's the sources of information which is going to send them new projects, companies that are coming into their radar, which they want to do some further research, find out who it's by and all that kind of stuff before they make a decision if they're going to buy in or not. And the reason that's a good framework is it makes you more like a professional investor. Instead of thinking that the next project would make you an 100x or a 10x, you are more concerned with the strategy and the process, the number of projects you are vetting out on day or week basis, and the signals that you have seen, the patterns you can accumulate that's going to make it that are signal to you that this is a good project to get into. Basically working on yourself and your skills in the space and spending more time and bettering your overall process as a trader. And In this way, even if you miss out on projects, which is going to happen, that's going to go up in value, and you're going to feel more comfortable because you know that you're the centerpiece in a way, meaning you have the capital, right? And it's finite. So you can only get into so many projects, and the whole game is going to be about how can you get into the strongest ones that you have the most conviction with the highest probability to 5, 10, 30x your money, while getting into the least amount of projects which can go to zero. If you can get this ratio right, success in this space is going to be inevitable. Now we are getting into the meat. How to know what to buy. How to know you can get into projects where you're not going to lose money. That's one of the most important things. And secondly, you're going to put the odds in your favor. And when it comes to putting odds in your favor, there's odds you can put by doing your due diligence, meaning checking all the kind of stuff that we're going to talk about, you know, the founder, Discord, community, supply, all that kind of stuff. And then there's odds that you can't really control, meaning the underlying parts of the projects, like the perseverance of the founder, the how much hardship can the people behind the project go through to execute it. And if you can probably tell the way I'm talking about it, putting all the odds in your favor, a lot of it, more than I would say 70% of making the decision, is going to be about the founder. Because if the founder has what it takes, even if there's hardships, even if the art style is not, great, even if they're fall in a category of people that generally don't do well in the NFT space, which I want to get into in a second, it can still work out because they will execute and they will do whatever it takes to make sure it succeeds, just like great founders do for a business. And the classic example in this space that I like to use is Gary Vaynerchuk. Art, nothing special. Looks like doodles anybody can make. The profile he has, a celebrity. Historically, I say historically as if we've been around for decades, but over the months and so what we have seen so far in the NFT space is that celebrities, when they come into space, it's kind of like a cash grab, and a lot of times it just sells out and then the project heads to zero pretty quickly after that. While all those things are true, Gary Vaynerchuk is an exception because he's a great founder. He put his reputation in the line, and he put, basically he has a big reputation, and he put that in the line. I mean, I need to take a pause there and put an emphasis because that's one of the biggest parts. So like I said, a lot of your breakdown is going to be looking to the founder. I check their LinkedIn and make sure that what kind of experience they have they done any kind of companies in the past, are they running any kind of companies currently, are they any kind of technical person as well, because that would help, right? If they were like a programmer, if they're kind of like a product designer, etc., things like that, in another competitive market, let's say a bigger company that worked previously in whatever it may be, Pixar, Facebook, these kind of companies, takes a lot of talent. Just realized I actually have a very good example for this method that I used very recently. So my pet Hooligans, I called out this project in December 10th, less than a month ago, in this channel right here. So if you follow me on Twitter, you could have get into this project right before it minted. And I looked at the founder, Colin Brady, went to his LinkedIn, and I was very amazed and made it very clear on that video I made that this is insane. He worked at he was an executive producer, he's a head of story and head of animation, chief creative officer, etc., etc. So he had all the technical chops, and his team is very capable of creating a great project. And if you look at the floor price right now, it went all the way up to 1.2, and it's not even been a month. So this is an example of a really good bet on the founder, and that's pretty much 80% of my decision I made to get into this project. So if you got in this one, mint was 0.06 ETH, or it's like $200-300, and 1.2 ETH right now is $6,000. That's a solid 25x. So just wanted to show that because it's a solid demonstration of what it can do when you bet on the founder. Once you have done some good due diligence on the person behind the project, start looking into some red flags. Right? This is like how I prioritize. And it's basically founder first, and then I see if there's any kind of red flags going on. So I'm going to go into some red flags right now. So one of the great, actually in my opinion, the best places to go for these kind of due diligence for red flags especially is in the Discord. Right off the bat, you can see the Discords are lined up with all the major like sections of their project, the community, official links, etc. I'm just giving you an example from 888 Inner Circle and an NFT project, but most of the Discords are framed in this way. And you can see that one of the conversations, this is not in the 888, this is just a random Discord, I'm just giving you an example here, is this person talking about the floor price. And this is a common advice you'd get in the NFT space, is that you don't want to get into projects where they're talking about the floor price. And sometimes I realize that beginners can kind of get confused. What does that really mean? Well, what it means is that most of the people, if most of the conversations are regarding the price, it means the people that make up the majority of the holders in that NFT project are in there just to make the money. Only to make the money, right? That's why they're talking about the price, the floor price, what it's going to do, how it's going to raise in 24 hours. Should we sell right away? Should we hold it for a bit? And if all the conversation is like that, you know that the majority of the people are looking to dump this project as soon as it goes live, giving it very low chance for it to ever become something that can build on it and become big. And you don't want to get into those kind of projects. What you rather see is more conversations about whatever the project is actually about, which basically means is that if this is a project by an artist, well, there should be some conversations going on about the art style that he uses, previous work he has done, collaborations he did with other artists that have been great, etc. Have not been great, but it's your opinion about the arts. If it's a Discord about, or a project about getting some kind of alpha group, then it should be talking about projects that are coming up, projects that can do well, other projects, because it's a group about alpha. It shouldn't be talking about that group itself if it's going up or down too much. So there, I kind of give you a framework so you can kind of know exactly what to look for when you're going to these Discords. With that red flag section being done, I wanted to take a moment and let you know the two most important lessons you can take from other people's experiences and things that I've learned that would make you in the top 1% of NFT traders if you can implement what I'm about to say here. Number one is do not be emotional. I don't know how many projects, especially when I started, how many projects I started to look at which had a lot of red signals, and I still went in because I was FOMO'd and I thought it would still work out, and it went down. Do yourself this favor. Using the strategies I'm sharing in this video and any other video that you watch, make yourself a checklist. The founder, his previous work, his work ethic, red flags in the Discord, and everything else that we talked about here and anywhere else that you found that you're going to be using, and be not emotional. Just put yes, no, if they have it or not, and for things that are not a yes or no answer, put a little note on what you found about your analysis, on their sentiment in their Discord, etc., things like that. And in the end, just look at it very objectively and see if you can just make a decision if everything looks good. This is going to force you to not get sucked into the FOMO, right? A lot of times I have got into projects that had these red flags and I still went in, and in the end I regretted it and I felt extra bad because I knew from my due diligence that these are not good things. And over time I've learned, after losing so much money, that okay, I gotta stick to it. Because even if you make a call and you decide not to get in and the project does well, that is completely fine. I mean, look at the space. There's hundreds of projects launching every day. You're not going to be getting into all of them anyways. It's more important that you don't lose your capital, stay liquid, and get into very high conviction projects compared to trying to spray and pray and getting into so many and get drained out of your account. For the second lesson, I'm going to quote Warren Buffett. It's basically one of his favorite sayings where it says, "It's good to learn from your mistakes. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes." Now, in the NFT space, I know one, people don't really like Warren Buffett, but two, if they do quote him, they quote the other saying, something like, be greedy when people are fearful, fearful when the people are greedy, etc. I think this saying is much more fitting than NFT space than this other saying, because it's not about always buying the dip. In NFT space, there's dips all the time, technically, because no matter what cycle you are in the market, you always get to mint from zero. which is a pretty special thing. And this, why it allows you to get those huge gains no matter what time of the market you're in. Where in crypto, you kind of really have to buy the dip, right? Now, I'm digressing. It's good to learn from your mistakes, but it's better to learn from others. The reason why, if you're able to put this, even like half do this, it's going to put you in the far, far higher percentile amongst all the other traders, is because the way people lose in the space is because they come up with a certain amount of capital and then they lose that capital. Let that sink in. Simple as that. They come in with 1 ETH, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, whatever it may be, and then within weeks or a couple of months, they lose all the money getting in and out of projects, most of them which go to zero, and then they are done. They leave the space and they're scorned, and now they hate NFTs, etc., etc. That's the number one priority for you as a trader, to not get into, that's the number one priority for you in the NFT space as a trader, is to not lose your money. And one of the most powerful ways you can do this is by learning from other people's mistakes. If you're able to be in the space, connect with other people, look at Twitter daily, be in the Discord groups, and overall see the patterns in the space and learn more about it without putting your money on the line. Just in the beginning, it does not take too long for you to start getting a grasp on things. Or if you could, just put very, very little, right? Like 1/100th, 1/10 of what you're looking to actually deploy as your initial capital into the market. Put very, very little, just enough so you can follow how the projects are doing, so you have enough skin in the game, so you're interested enough to check things and be on top of it. If you're able to do play it in this way in the early stages, you're going to be so far ahead, because you're going to not go through that curve that almost everybody goes through, myself included, where we lost a bunch of money. I'm talking like a lot of money, like a lot of money for me. It's like 5 to 10 ETH solid that I lost in the first initial stage where I was learning everything, until I was able to recoup back and come back and then be strong. I know I probably lost a lot of people at this section of the video if you stayed until this far, because I'm actually asking you to do very difficult things. And one thing, as beginners, a lot of times we don't want to do difficult things, but it's the truth. And I'm trying to really give you some insights that I wish I would have done if I were to start off again. And having that said, since this can get a little bit complicated, especially hard to do, I wanted to also help you out to get a checklist, right? So I'm going to link to a video that I made earlier where I give you exact process, step by step, with the exact checklist on everything. Number of Discord, number of Twitter followers, everything that I check for a project. And if you want to get that and especially use that for yourself, go to this link that it's going to be somewhere here, that you can check out that deep dive. Transitioning. If you do everything I said in this video, but you do not know how to exit or when to exit, you will not make it. You will lose your money in this space. And that's what I'm going to get into right now, is the selling tips. So the strategy that I'm going to advise you to use as a beginner, and it's the exact strategy I use till this day. Whenever I get into projects, I buy 2. So this way, the standard price for the project is 0.08, which means your total investment in the project going in is 0.16 Ethereum. You sell the first one right after you get the mint project. You go to OpenSea and you list your first NFT out of the 2, the first one at 0.16 right away. And this is where sometimes, even though it's a basic concept, beginners can have some trouble, and you kind of wait for too long because you're thinking, oh, what if it 10x's? I'm gonna lose so much potential gains. But what you're trying to hedge against, remember, your first priority is not to lose money. So by listing that first one at the break-even price, no matter what happens, you have gotten back your initial investment, and you can let the second one ride for what I would actually put it as 0.24. So this way, the first one you're selling for a 2x, and the second that you bought, you're selling for a 3x. Especially in the beginning, this is important to stick to this rule, because you're usually, if you're a beginner, your capital is pretty low, maybe 1 ETH, 5 ETH, whatever it may be. And you want to grow your portfolio to a decent amount where you can take some hits. And as you grow it, whatever that number is for you that you feel more comfortable, maybe 10, 20, 30 ETH, you can start moving this one a little bit higher. Meaning, instead of you can sell the first one at break even, but the second one you can hold it maybe instead of a 3x, maybe do it at 5x, and on and on and on. But this is a more of a tight strategy to make sure you don't lose money, and also you can gain some money in a very systematic way for projects you get in. This way you're scalping out a little bit of profits for every project you get in while you're having more time in the space. Time in the space beats timing the market, or time in the market beats timing the market, right? It applies here. It gets you more experience while you're getting some little profits, and as your portfolio grows, then you can start getting into bigger projects and having more conviction and bidding, holding it for longer term as your skill as a trader grows. Now, I mentioned that you want to sell them immediately, and preferably this happens before they're revealed. So this is in my OpenSea. You can see I'm giving an example where I got some farmers from Wolf Game, and they're still not revealed, meaning that when you initially get a project, they're not going to show you what the characters actually look like right off the bat. Right? You're initially going to have to go through some, couple, like 24 hours, 40 hours, whatever, until it sells out, and then they're going to reveal the project. Since the odds are against you, again, mathematics, right? The odds are against you. Usually rares are 100 out of 10,000, or at the best rate, 1,000 out of 10,000, right? If it's a 10K PFP project, meaning the odds are against you for you to get a rare. So when beginners are holding, they're thinking that, what if I get a rare and I'll be able to sell for more? Well, let other people take that uncertainty and wait for it. You can just sell yours, and other person will buy it at a 2x or a 3x right after the mint a lot of times, because they are hoping that that is a rare which you don't know. But you're getting out clean with a 2-3x profit because you are building your portfolio. It's a game of process over luck. Whenever you are putting too much in luck, did I get a rare? Oh, is this the single project that's going to change my entire portfolio? That's how you go down the drain. It's about the process of you becoming a better trader and sticking to your own rules that you customize as you grow in the space, and as you're getting better at sticking to these rules that you create from all the analysis that you do and experience you have, you become more and more better as a trader, putting the odds in your favor. Like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for watching.